Have you ever seen someone struggling, and everyone just passed by? That's what happened to Emily. A young mother collapsed in the freezing street, clutching her newborn, ignored by dozens of strangers. But what no one knew was, someone was watching. A man with a past, a fortune, and a heart scarred by loss. And when he saw her fall, everything changed. Emily's hands trembled as she tightened the thin blanket around her newborn daughter. The wind clawed through the city streets like invisible knives, and the coat she wore, too big, too thin, did nothing to keep out the chill. Her cheeks burned from the cold, and her lips were cracked from days without proper food or water. She was walking aimlessly, worn shoes flapping with each step, one foot in front of the other. Not because she had somewhere to go, but because she didn't know where to stop. Her baby girl, only 4 days old, whimpered softly against her chest. The sound pierced Emily's heart like a cry of guilt. She had no home. No family. No money. She had given birth in a public restroom, alone. No one had come. No one cared. Her mother had died 2 years ago. Her father hadn't spoken to her since she got pregnant. The baby's father had vanished the moment he heard the word pregnant. He blocked her number. Changed addresses. She had once thought she was in love, but now she was just a nameless girl in a city that didn't even notice when she cried. Emily staggered across the crosswalk, barely registering the honks of cars or the blur of people brushing past her. Everyone was in a hurry. Everyone had their own world. Not one person stopped. Then it happened. Her legs gave out from beneath her. Her knee smacked against the pavement with a sickening crack. The world tilted and spun as her arms clutched desperately around her child. She didn't care if she hit her head. She didn't care if she broke a rib. She only cared about not letting her baby go. The blanket slipped slightly, and the newborn's small face peeked out. A single whimper escaped her lips. Emily looked up. People stared. But no one moved. One woman glanced down at her with narrowed eyes and shook her head, muttering, "Drugs," before walking away. A man in a suit walked around her like she was a puddle of trash. Emily tried to cry out, but her voice was too dry. Her lips parted, but only a whisper came out. "Please, help." And then, footsteps. Heavy. Purposeful. A pair of polished leather shoes stopped beside her. Strong arms reached down. A thick wool coat was suddenly wrapped around both her and the baby. And before she could protest, she was lifted, easily, carefully, into strong arms that smelled of cedar and cologne. "Hold on," a deep voice said, firm and warm. Emily blinked through blurred vision. She saw a clean-shaven jaw. Dark eyes. A face that looked like it belonged in magazines, or nightmares. "Who?" she whispered. But the man didn't answer. He just tightened his grip and turned down the alley where a sleek black car waited. The driver sprang into action, opening the door without a word. The men carried her inside, set her down gently, and slid in beside her. "Get us home," he told the driver. Emily's head rolled back. Her world faded to black. But the last thing she felt was warmth. She woke to the smell of lavender and the sound of silence. Real silence. No sirens. No shouts. No cold wind howling through cracks. She was lying on a plush bed, her baby wrapped safely in a soft cream-colored blanket beside her. Her eyes darted around the room. Marble floors. Velvet curtains. A chandelier overhead. This wasn't a shelter. This was a mansion. The door opened, and in walked the man. He had changed into a soft sweater and slacks, but he still looked like he belonged in a movie. His hair was tousled, like he'd run a hand through it too many times, and his expression was unreadable. "You're awake," he said simply. She pushed herself up, panicked. "My baby." "She's fine," he said quickly. "I had a doctor check her. She's healthy. A little cold, but she's strong. Like her mother." Emily stared at him. "Who are you?" The man hesitated. "My name is Adrian Blackwood." She blinked. The Adrian Blackwood. The Hotel Empire guy. He gave a tight nod. Emily's stomach dropped. She had collapsed in the street like garbage, and been picked up by a billionaire. I didn't mean for you to, I wasn't. He held up a hand. You don't have to explain. You needed help. Her throat tightened. Why did you stop? No one else did. Adrian looked at her for a long moment before speaking. Because once, someone I loved collapsed in the street. And no one helped her. I was too late. Emily's breath caught. He didn't elaborate. He just turned and walked toward the window, hands in his pockets. I don't know what you've been through, he said softly, but you're not going back out there tonight. Or tomorrow. Or until you're ready. She stared at him. Why would you care? She whispered. He turned back toward her, and his voice dropped. Because sometimes, saving someone else is the only way to save yourself. Chapter 2 continues with Emily and Adrian's bond growing, secrets being revealed, and love blooming unexpectedly. Want to read Chapter 2? Let me know and I'll give you the full next 5,000-word chapter. Clapperboard call to action for viewers. If this story touched your heart, please like the video, leave a comment below, and hit that subscribe button. It helps us bring you more beautiful stories like this one. Remember, sometimes one act of kindness can change everything. Red Heart. Emily stood in the center of the palatial bedroom, her baby sleeping soundly in the bassinet placed near the fireplace. The warmth of the flames danced gently across the room, casting a glow over the golden wallpaper and velvet drapes. Everything about this place felt unreal. Just days ago, she was shivering under a broken street lamp, praying her child would survive one more night. Now she was here, in a mansion, under the roof of a man who could have ignored her like everyone else, but didn't. She slowly walked to the window, watching as the gray sky began to flurry again, snowflakes floating down like tiny whispers. Her hands wrapped around the oversized cardigan Adrian had left her. It still smelled faintly like him, wood, rain, something quietly powerful. A soft knock came. She turned. The door creaked open, and Adrian stepped in, his hands full, a tray with toast, fruit, and 2 mugs. I thought you might be hungry, he said. Emily nodded slowly, not trusting herself to speak. He set the tray down on a small table near the couch, glanced at the baby, then looked at her. I know it's a lot, he said gently, reading her face. But you're safe. You both are. I'm not used to this, she finally whispered. Kindness. Adrian looked at her, his jaw tightening. That's a terrible thing to get used to living without. They sat quietly. The fireplace cracked, and outside the wind picked up. Emily picked at the toast. Adrian didn't pressure her with questions, only offered his presence. Finally, she asked, why did you really help me? He looked up, and something flickered in his eyes. I told you. I saw someone I loved collapse once. My sister, Clara. She was 16. Ran away after a fight with our father. She was too proud to ask for help. They found her the next morning. She hadn't made it through the night. Emily's hand flew to her mouth. Adrian blinked slowly, staring into the fire. She froze. Alone. And I never forgave myself for not finding her sooner. For not listening. Since then, I've been building. Trying to fill a hole I can't fix. I'm so sorry, she whispered. She was all I had, he murmured. After that, I just stopped letting people in. A long silence passed. And yet you let me in, Emily said quietly. You didn't give me a choice, he said, a trace of a smile tugging at his lips. You collapsed right in front of me. She laughed softly, a light sound, one that startled even herself. She hadn't laughed in months. Adrian watched her closely. What about you? Why were you alone? No family. My mom passed away 2 years ago, Emily said, voice low. Dad couldn't look at me after I told him I was pregnant. Said I ruined everything. I thought the baby's father would be there, but he ghosted me. Blocked my number. I stayed in shelters when I could, worked where they'd let me until I got too pregnant to stand. I gave birth in a public restroom. That's how unwanted I was. Adrian looked like he wanted to say something, anything, but words failed him. Then I wandered, she continued, carrying my baby, hoping someone would see us. But they didn't. Not until you. Adrian's hands curled into fists. You and that baby deserved better. Much better. Emily wiped at her eyes. I don't even know your story. And yet I'm here, drinking your coffee, sleeping in your home. You're not a burden, Emily, Adrian said firmly. I don't do things out of pity. I do them because they're right. Still, what now? She whispered. I can't stay forever. He hesitated. You don't have to decide now. But until you figure it out, this place is yours. Both of yours. She stared at him. Why? He took a long breath.